What does it say about luxury when people are camping overnight for a bargain, not unlike a Black Friday sale at Walmart? Because The Row, the brand that built its empire on silence, just hosted a sample sale that turned exclusivity into a spectacle. Lines were wrapped around the block, people waited for hours, and for a few surreal days in New York, the world's quietest brand became the city's loudest conversation. This is a story about what happens when restraint becomes performance and the pursuit of quiet luxury gets too loud to sustain. Stay with me until the end, because what happened to The Row isn't just about fashion. It's about us, how modern luxury keeps mistaking visibility for value, and why even the most self-aware consumers just cannot look away. For nearly 2 decades, The Row has represented the pinnacle of understatement. Founded in 2006 by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, it was never about logos or noise, only immaculate tailoring, muted tones, and almost monastic devotion to fit and form. The Row sold composure, the fantasy of control in a chaotic world. It was the brand for people who didn't need to tell you that they were rich. You could just feel it. That quiet confidence became the aesthetic language of a generation burned out by fast fashion and influencer maximalism. As the internet screamed for attention, The Row whispered, and that whisper became aspirational. But every aesthetic has its lifespan, and quiet luxury, once the antidote to excess, became its own kind of performance, the appearance of restraint without the substance of discernment. When The Row opened its first ever public sample sale in 2025, the irony was instant. A brand famous for invisibility has just gone viral. TikTok filled with hauls, lineup videos, and receipts as long as essays. People were boasting about getting $7,000 trousers for $700 instead, still overpriced, holding them up like relics of enlightenment. Outside, influencers paid assistants to stand in line. The new luxury concierge wasn't personal shopping, it was waiting. What was once the private world of old money and restraint had become a public theater. Quiet luxury now with a queue. The scene felt less like Madison Avenue and more like an Apple product launch, or worse, a Black Friday sale at Walmart where people were hoping for a $50 TV. Because the truth is, scarcity still sells, but now it needs an audience. To understand why this happens, we need to zoom out, far beyond The Row. We live in an era of hyperspeed communication, trained by Amazon Prime to expect everything in 24 hours or less. Convenience has replaced discernment, and the algorithm rewards desire rather than deliberation. And then came the SHEIN effect, the industrialization of impulse. Fashion became a numbers game, thousands of microtrends, millions of microtransactions. It rewired how we think about clothing itself, not as craftsmanship, but as content. And as we lost our physical relationship to stores, the textures, the weight of a good seam, the smell of real wood, we also lost our literacy in quality. Most people today couldn't tell silk from viscose by touch, which means that for many, luxury is no longer a feeling. It's a font, a filter, or a price tag. At the same time, economic anxiety has tightened everyone's belts. Inflations, tariffs, and post-pandemic slumps have made aspirational buyers more cautious. But scarcity always finds a way to survive. In a down economy, the desire to look like you belong to an in-group only grows stronger. Hence the rise of the old money aesthetic, the fantasy of stability, discretion, and generational wealth, even when your credit card bill tells a different story. So when The Row, the high priest of quiet luxury, opened its doors to the public, it's clearly a symptom of a larger societal sickness. We're living through a cultural contradiction. We crave authenticity, but perform it constantly. We glorify restraint, but chase virality. We want things that feel private, but we broadcast every single purchase we make online. Luxury has become a participatory theater, and the ticket price is the illusion of exclusivity. That's why the footage from the sale feels so uncanny. People are fighting to buy a plain cashmere coat that looks identical to the ones that they already own, or something that you could pick up from Uniqlo or H&M. Because in 2025, the sameness signals status. It's the new uniform of aspiration and the visible effort to appear effortless. So, what does this all mean for brands, for consumers, and for the future of luxury itself? First, exclusivity can't survive exposure without evolution. Luxury brands must choose either to lean into transparency and redefine what premium means in this era, or to retreat into real scarcity, fewer drops, smaller runs, slower production. Second, design alone is no longer enough. The modern luxury consumer is buying a belief system, craftsmanship as ethics, slowness as rebellion, and longevity as modernity. To thrive, brands must communicate value through their values. Third, resist the temptation to chase the feed. Every time a luxury house panders to virality, it dilutes the very thing that is selling: mystery, trust, and timelessness. In a world addicted to speed, stillness is a strategy. And when done well, it will really set you apart. And finally, remember that luxury is not just what costs the most. Price is no longer a reliable proxy for quality, and consumers are slowly starting to catch on to that. Rather, luxury is what costs the least in integrity. Brands that compromise on sustainability, ethics, design rigor, craft rigor for visibility may win the week, but they lose the century. The row didn't fail. It just revealed the tension that every modern brand must face. How do we remain desirable in a world where everything is fast and everything is visible? In my view, quiet luxury broke the moment it started to shout. And in that sound, we can hear a lesson about what happens when aspiration becomes algorithmic and when exclusivity forgets its purpose. Because in the end, the true luxury isn't the thing that everyone wants. It's the thing that still means something when no one else is watching.